Oh, we're early. We're
very
hella
early.
early. What are we? We're like an hour and a half early. What are we gonna do with all this time? I guess that means we have a 5-hour long pod today.
I mean, isn't that not far off from what we do anyway?
Hey, we've been good. There was a while. I don't know if you remember this, like last year. There was a stretch where every pod was like an hour and 40.
Oh, I remember you.
Every single one that we did was like an hour and 40.
Yeah.
It was wild, but not anymore. We're getting pretty good. I'm getting better.
Trying to make sure we have everything here. Hey guys, I apologize for this.
Where would you take Alec Pierce right now?
Like in a just straight redraft?
Yeah.
He'd probably be in like a Tyler Boyd tier for me. Like that guy that once I'm past like the big hit on wide receivers, once I'm past that like large set of, you have the studs, you have the consistent guys, you have the upside guys. I think Alec Pierce is probably going to sit there, kind of like in that range where Jacoby Myers sat for years. Like,
yeah, I got somebody I got somebody telling me he's worth about a 2. And I don't think I'd pay a 2.
I think if it was like a late 2, I'd be fine with that.
Maybe, but that's not a discernible.
The thing is, Pierce has shown that like he can be a good player at this level, which is more than what people thought was going to be the case when the Colts took him. And he's continuously showed that he's able to kind of, to an extent, I mean, there's been multiple games this year where he's been a better option than Michael Pittman, which is what you want from that backup guy. But I mean, the one thing we haven't seen, at least I don't remember seeing it this year, is a ceiling. I mean, I feel like his best high scoring games this year have been at most like 16 points. He had 18 this last week, but that was with a touchdown.
Right.
Like just from a purely like scoring wise, no like unpredictable touchdown, anything like that. His best week was week 5 where he had 8 for 81. Like he will have a prolific future in the NFL. He's going to be fantasy relevant for a while. And that's about all you can ask for when you get into that late 2, early 3 situation. I mean, at that point, you're looking at a lot of players that, there is the chance that they're going to be that super, super high level guy, but there's also just as big a chance that they crash and burn and you never hear about him again.
Yeah, I think that's possible too.
Yeah.
I just think I don't know if I'd pay a 2 for him straight up.
Yeah.
It's tough. So the reason I ask is we did a startup. That startup I told you about, it is done now. And I'm already trying to trade some guys away because I scored too many points. And it's based on total points for the rest of the way. Now I scored too many points, Billy. I scored 152 points by accident. I have 7 of my players are on IR. All right. I should not have scored that many. Anyway, I did. So I'm trying to trade away Leonard Fournette. I put him on the block, whatever. See if somebody wants to take him. And I got offered Alec Pierce and a 3rd. And I countered for their 24th third instead. And then they countered for some reason, wanting Wandale on top of that. That's why I was like, all right, this is a little weird that I took your offer. I countered it, right, for a year later. Usually a year later means, that the deal's better.
Yeah.
But now they don't want to give up their 24. They want to give their 23. What is happening?
Yeah.
Very weird. Very weird. Very weird. We're going to see what happens. We might get this deal done live.
I don't know.
Always working.
I'm all for Alec Pierce. I think Alec Pierce is a very, very good, like low value buy going into this offseason. I think you're going to have a good opportunity to get him probably
Well, he went in the 14th round of the startup.
That feels. Let me pull up a quick draft and see.
I think that's a decent spot.
Where do I have a startup? Here we go. All right, so I just need like an idea of what a round 14 pick was this year.
Right. I feel like that's important.
I'm having some bad luck finding. All right, here we go. Oh,
it's bleak, right?
I would take Alec Pierce over all the. Oh, Alec Pierce went in the 14th round in this draft. That's funny.
Yeah, so he stayed the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Alec Pierce has shown enough. I would probably be taking him.
He had
maybe in like the 10th, 11th.
Oh, interesting.
Like I'd bump him up enough that mostly because I think he has the value. Like I don't see how if Alec Pierce is getting drafted in the 14th this year, next year he's not getting drafted in the 14th or higher.
Right.
Like I can't imagine he's just going to fall off the map next year because he's already well involved in that offense. So I mean, I'd probably bump Alec Pierce up quite a bit. Yeah, but like, yeah, I
curious why the 24 over the 23 third, just Tom being Tom. It wasn't me. Oh, why I would want it? Because I know what his draft position is going to be. Like, I know that he's going to be in the top 3, whereas in 24, we don't know what's going to happen. So it's the same thing. So when you're looking at, we said this a couple of weeks ago on the pod when we were talking about trade deadline, that I don't really want to be making trades for people's 23s right now, because right now it's week 14. You know where people are going to be. Like, you roughly know where people are going to be. So you kind of want that. You don't want that pick unless you know it's going to be early, and chances are those people aren't fucking giving you their early picks.
Yes.
What is that beeping?
Sounds like your smoke detector is out of battery.
Oh my God, that's going to drive me bananas. You've got to be kidding me. Halfway through this pod, I'm just going to be going and ripping that out of the wall.
God, this draft is so sad that I pulled up. Sorry.
In 2024, we don't know what's going to happen. So you know when there are like bad teams, right? Everyone in their league has like that guy whose team is just perpetually bad. That's going to fucking make me crazy.
Yeah.
It did that just as we went live. I am so sorry, everybody. Oh, that's going to be so annoying. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so distracted. This is going to be bad. But you don't know where they're going to be in 2024.
Yeah.
So in 2024, it could end up being an early 3, and we're talking about a 3rd. But this is what I talked about on my Twitter that absolutely went bananas, saying that you should be acquiring your 2024s, whatever picks you can. I don't want Leonard Fournette on my team. Chances are I'm probably just going to take the deal that he sent me initially, right? If it gets back to that, unless they're going to be stubborn, who knows?
It tends to be a good move in Dynasty to buy into kind of confident uncertainty, which is, I mean, what that 3rd round pick is. I mean, in hindsight and looking back historically at hit rates and stuff, a 3-1 and a 3-12 is not a whole lot of variation. I mean, it's not like looking at an early 1 and a late 1. So, like, I think it's completely fine to buy in like that, because, I mean, if you expect it to be a fine 3rd this year, odds are it's going to be a fine 3rd next year, and maybe you run a chance of moving up. And if you move down, I mean, it's not going to hurt you too much. I think that's fine.
I think the other thing too is that so I get the Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White discourse, and Rachaad White scored the touchdown last night, which was great. I'm happy for him. But Leonard Fournette was in that whole drive until that play.
Yeah.
So Rachaad White's going to be remembered for the touchdown, but Leonard Fournette got them there. So it's not like Leonard Fournette is going anywhere. And their schedule is beautiful. The schedule for the Bucks
Yeah, it's
going
real nice.
forward.
San Francisco, Cincinnati, Arizona, Carolina.
San Francisco sucks. All right. San Francisco's a great defense that I don't want to be playing guys in. But
Yeah.
the rest down that stretch, that's why I said a while ago that I want to be trading for Godwin. I made a trade for Evans. Like Cincinnati, Arizona, Carolina. That's phenomenal. And since this is points 4 through week 18, they get Atlanta in week 18. That's nice.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not playing fantasy in week 18.
Well, if it's points 4, right? Because remember, this is post a draft. So it's only points 4 till week 18.
Sure, but still. Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful that Fournette is coming back. I'm going to need him in one of the leagues that I'm running because outside of Austin Eckler, I don't really have another running back I'm confident in down the stretch. So I very much am glad that Lenny is back to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, 6 catches last night, right?
Yeah, if he stays this involved, I mean, I'm going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, I agree, especially FNL. Ooh, baby. Speaking of FNL, well, I'm going to talk about that when we come back in. Look, we're going to kick this thing off. Let's go.
Beep.
Oh, fuck you. What's going on, everybody? This is the Full Tilt Podcast Network. This is the flagship program, -1. This is the Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast. This is episode 187. We are powered by Fantasy Points. We love Fantasy Points, and you should too. You should head over to fantasypoints.com. We get ready because the Fantasy Points data, it is coming, and you are going to want to be a part of that. I post every week a TLDR, a Fantasy Points chart porn article, and let me tell you, I played Darius Slayton, I played Smitty, I played them everywhere in my DFS lineups, and it paid off. It's phenomenal information. It's a free read. The chart porn article by Jake Tribby. You're going to want to check that out. But we're not here to talk about that. It is the playoff push right now. We have bye weeks being secured. We have games coming down to late game Julio Jones catches. It's just tons to talk about today. Baker Mayfield getting claimed. He's on his 3rd team. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. But hey, I'm your host of the Most Timeless Hands. I am ThomasTippleFF, joined by not only the beeping of my fucking alarm that just started. Very sorry, everybody, but I'm also joined by one of the smartest people on the planet. Not many can match his mega mind. This is at BigBillyFF.
Yo.
What a night last night. The league got crazy.
I was painfully hurt last night.
You
I went into last night. I needed Rachaad White to outscore Andy Dalton by 7 points. That was all I needed. And it got towards the end of the season, and I went, or the end of the week, the game, and I went, you know what? It's not going to happen. Whatever. I put it up, and I got in bed, started reading, got a notification on my phone, rushing touchdown scored by Rachaad White. And I had to sit there and go, no, it didn't. But it might have. And I pulled it up, and I lost by 3. Hurt.
That's so bad. So in the league,
just enough to believe.
I have been in first the entire year for the legal record. Okay. Now, if you're new to the show and you don't know, I've been tormented by the legal record, finding a way to lose in the playoffs, once to Billy, thanks to the Alvin Kamara touchdown game and Stafford's twisted ankle. I would have won if I played Carr. So thank you for his rip taint the week before. I was too nervous. And then I finished 3rd last year because bad luck again. Well, I needed to secure this bye. I was not confident that I would not get the bye if I lost 2 in a row. It came down to Julio Jones. I played Julio Jones, who didn't do shit the whole game. I needed 4.5 points, And in like the last 30 seconds, Julio Jones secured it with a hell of a catch.
Yeah.
Like that looked like a vintage Julio Jones reception. He ended up pulling it out for me. So shout out Julio. I love you still. You're still my favorite player. Beat Jacob for like what feels like the 17th time this year and secured that number 1 seed by phenomenal. Truly phenomenal. I guess I could end up being number 2, but either way I have a bye, which leads me to my first topic today, Billy. Aside from this fucking beeping. Also, shout out to Bear Dogs coming from Twitch. You can head over there at ThomasTippleFF on Twitch. I'm an affiliate now, so shout out. You can hit the follow button. You can hit the sub button if you want to. It helps me out. Helps me put out content just like this. You can help support us. So, let's talk about how important it is to get the bye week. Some people say you don't need it. Other people say it's all that matters. What is your take on securing the bye?
Yeah, I really don't understand the take of you don't need it. I like with the randomness that can happen any given week in fantasy football. How on earth are you going to turn down a free win on a bye week? It is absolutely crucial. I see no other way around it. Like the level of importance that comes from being able to just sit down for a week, not have to worry about your players, not have to worry about, your quarterback going out and throwing 3 picks. And because it's late in the season and he's a little beat up, they pull him out and you're now sitting on -6 points with nothing to show for it. Instead of looking at that, you can relax, sit back, and be more ready going into the next week. Obviously, your players can still get hurt. Obviously, all that can still happen. But the level of randomness that can occur, like that injury that may happen that week, all of a sudden doesn't matter because you now have a week to go on waivers and get someone else. Whereas if you were in that week and your running back goes down on the first drive, yeah, it's not good. Like I don't understand the argument that the bye doesn't matter.
It's just like you should try to do, and obviously it matters, right? It's how much does it matter? And I think it matters a lot. You can have your quarterback break his foot on the first drive. You can have Lamar Jackson play 10 snaps. And all of a sudden, your week looks completely different. You lose. Yeah. You lose. You can have Derek Carr rip his taint. You can have Matthew Stafford drop back and twist his ankle. You can have Kenneth Walker average like 11 yards per carry and jam his foot, and now he's out. You can have a guy have a hamstring problem on the first snap of the game. You don't know. You have no idea what's going to happen. You can have an elite wide receiver, and all of a sudden, guess what? That quarterback that was throwing on the ball, he's out. He's done. Yep. He's gone. And it changes everything. It completely shifts everything. I was worried as fuck about Christian McCaffrey when Brock Purdy came in. Oh, I was terrified. I'm like, there goes the offense. The offense is bad. Last pick of the draft is coming in now. I'm screwed. Hey, he found Christian McCaffrey, and the offense marched on the Dolphins. Yeah, it's crazy. Funny. So many people are going to be relying on Brock Purdy now.
I trashed Brock Purdy, mostly because he played at Iowa State, so I've watched him play Texas Tech for years. But I mean, I gave a lot of trash to Brock Purdy in the pre-draft process. I was vindicated by the Mr. Relevant take, and I'm going to be cheering for him greatly watching him try and leave San Francisco.
I think he looked fine, and
the thing with San Francisco is a fine QB can win them a Super Bowl.
I mean, how many games have they won without Garoppolo throwing a touchdown? Like that's
yeah, exactly. Amazing. They're arguably one of the most complete teams in the league. Not arguably with the one of qualifier, but I think you could make a strong claim that they're the most complete team in the league.
Oh yeah, they're the best team in the NFC, in my opinion.
I'd give it to the Cowboys or the Eagles still, but I mean they look so strong.
If San Francisco had a quarterback now, I think they're the best team in the NFC.
Well, yeah, and I mean
but that's what I meant. Like, so I don't know if Brock Purdy.
If we put a bunch of Pro Bowlers on the Texans, they'd be the best team in the league too. Like it's, I mean, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm taking the Cowboys or the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Okay,
pretty
interesting.
easily.
Well, we're gonna make our predictions coming up
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks, which I can't wait for. Should be good. Look, for me, it's get the bye week at any cost. Yesterday, and I have an example. And we don't like to go like, well, in my league, I did this, and I did blah, 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 blah. I get it. That's not really what this is about, but it's kind of about that. We just want to have an example, so I'm not just like talking out my ass. In the full tilt Discord Dynasty League number 1, because I'm already getting asked about more, which, by the way, Full Tilt Dynasty Discord Dynasty League number 2 will be created today once this show is over. I am already being hounded about it on Twitter and in the Discord. The people are relentless. So if you want in, the link is in my profile at ThomasTippleFF. Join the Discord. Get in the league. It's going to be a great time. I was playing a guy who was out of the playoffs. I was playing against Mike Evans. If I lost that game, I lost the bye week. I lost I wouldn't let I lost the bye week. Is that I wouldn't be guaranteed the bye week. I'd have to win in week 14. Okay. And I don't like that. So I traded for Mike Evans just so he couldn't have him in the lineup. I do not need Mike Evans. I do not want Mike Evans. I traded Elijah Moore in a second for Mike Evans. And I didn't need him. I just needed him out of that guy's wide receiver spot. Good evening, David. How you doing? How you living? How was your week 13? I just wanted him out. Mm-hmm. And Kieran couldn't play anyone else in his wide receiver spot. That is how far I'm willing to go to make sure I don't lose that game. Mike Evans didn't even end up scoring the 14 points he needed to. But I heard Lattimore was out, and I was like, I got to make this trade.
Like the value gained from we talk about randomness, uncertainty a lot on this show. Mm-hmm. The value gained from not having that is amazing. Look, it is so easy to go in that week and go, you know what? Whatever happens to my team, I am reducing the randomness that needs to occur for me to win this championship. The guy I could have played could have had a player put up 7 touchdowns. Wouldn't matter. Like the
Alvin Kamara, you bastard.
We do so much to reduce uncertainty in this space, and like being able to do it in the most important time of the year is crucial. Like the bye is so important.
Yep, and that's why you have to be willing to just go out and do it. You can't be too scared. It is quite possibly the most important thing is to get that bye. Jacob, who's not here this week, he's studying, he's getting ready. He will be here next week. He said he is going to be here next week. Not here today, studying. He has had some of the best teams I've ever seen. In the league, we always joke about the Fat Clan Dynasty League, whatever it's called. He's had some of the best teams I've ever seen constructed lose because he didn't secure the bye.
Yep.
So like it can absolutely crush you. And let me tell you, there's almost nothing worse than being like damn near undefeated, losing 1 game all year, and you go out, or losing 2 games, you miss the bye, and you lose in your first playoff game to a team that barely made it in.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the worst feeling in the world.
We talk all the time about the any given Sunday of the aspect of the NFL right now. When you play fantasy, that any given Sunday is built into a lot of times when you're playing, against another player, that any given Sunday is built into 14 games across an entire week. So the level of like complexity that's added in on, the worst team in the league could have an amazing game randomly. Mm-hmm. Like it just happens sometimes.
Well, and what did our boy Soap always say, right? There's 17 games in a season. There's 4 quarters in every game. And in those 4 quarters, there's 15 minutes. Like anything can happen, and you got to play it through. You can end up sitting here needing a week 14 win with Christian Watson, Justin Fields, and Jonathan Taylor on your team. They're all on a bye. GG's.
Yep.
Like, what are you going to do with so many injuries out?
Yeah, this week 14 bye sucks.
The NFL should have stuck to a 16-game schedule, in my opinion. Side tangent here before we move on. 16-game schedule with 2 byes. So the season is still 18. Everyone gets 2 buys. All the buys are done by week 14. That's, in my opinion, how it should have went. Because teams that get the bye week, like what is it? First round of buys is what, week 4? I think we get bye weeks.
Week 6.
Week 6, you get the first bye week, and then the teams get it then, and then another team gets it in like week 14. It's not balanced at all. It's absolutely not. I think it's.
No, I agree. And like that's something that I think needs to be fixed. Like in general, not just being a fantasy football nerd wanting to be like, oh well, I deserve to be able to play my players anytime I want.
Yeah, but screwing out my money, man.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
I love this name.
Just in general.
God. Currently sad Elijah Moore truther. Oh, that hurts. That hits me right here. I'm stuck in 3rd in my favorite league, and my most critical losses have come in weeks that I've been top 2, 3 in scoring. I love fantasy. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It can happen.
I have a league with some of my closest friends. I'm currently number 2 in points for, and I'm 6 and 7. And I'm like on the bubble for the playoffs. Because
am I in that one?
No.
Ouch.
This is local friends.
That hurts. Canada can be local too, It's called the interweb.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it sucks. I'm stuck in 3rd in my favorite league. That's why I did what I did. That's why I traded Elijah Moore in a 2 for Mike Evans. That's why, to secure it. And I think if you don't have a trade deadline, there are leagues that do not have a trade deadline. You should still be trying to do that. Secure that spot no matter what. Don't leave it to chance. Get that spot and move on. You can recoup that 2nd round pick in the odds. Like as soon as you're done, you can recoup that 2nd round pick. So don't be too shy with it. Also, everyone, if you're watching, look, we had a crazy week of views on the YouTube channel. We love and appreciate every single one of you. Over 70% of you are not subbed. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching, hit that subscribe button. It helps us a lot. It helps drive us up charts and algorithms. You're all amazing. If you want to help us create more content and more content you like to see, hit that sub button. It goes a long way. It really does. Look, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play one of our most viewed clips from last week's show. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to handle some of the injury notes and who you can trust moving forward. So sit tight, enjoy the clip. Be right back.
I'm going to take the guy I was the highest on amongst our entire group in the rookie draft. I'm going to take George Pickens here. I think he's one of the players that has shown out more and more. He's I know. He's a human highlight reel. The team is clearly comfortable enough moving away to send Chase Claypool off to not be used in Chicago and to kind of use Pickens more than Deontay Johnson. I mean, as much as we want to jump on this train.
But their targets, okay, but what do you mean use more? Like Deontay has 94 targets. Pickens has 57.
I agree with that.
It's like a lot more.
Look, every time a stat line comes out, Pickens is always a lean receiver on that team. Rip Chase Claypool, man.
Yeah, that was a bad outcome for that because the next time Jacob sees you, he's going to be relentless after his 1 catch for 2-yard performance. So as long as you know that, it might be rough.
Oh, I'm well aware. I mean, he's a rookie.
I can't wait.
Spend more time on George Pickens here.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the people VRTDB on it. Lamar Jackson was already very depressing for your fantasy lineups. I've been talking about this for weeks, and he got hurt in the first 10 snaps. However, I want to say this. We know what Tyler Huntley is, and he came in and he operated the offense just fine because for some reason, Greg Roman simplifies the offense for him and not Lamar Jackson, except for when he has James Prochet try to. Why are you letting James Prochet throw the ball downfield to Kenyon Drake? Like, why? It just.
I don't know. Who was it? Lenny that threw it to Tom Brady a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
That's more excusable or less excusable.
They were driving, they were down, and he let James Prochet run this play with a backup into the end zone. Like
I think.
Anyway,
Don't quote me on this. I think James Prochet did play quarterback.
They were saying on the broadcast that James Prochet, there was no place anywhere listed where he's ever thrown a pass.
Okay.
So take that for what you will. Anyway, the Baltimore offense has been a nightmare. However, what this means, we're going to get into some injury and some league winner right here. Mark Andrews, who has been good, not great so far this season, in my opinion. He's been very good, not great. His target share with Tyler Huntley, major difference. Tyler Huntley only targets Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews immediately jumps into league winner status here. Their schedule looks pretty good. And again, he's been kind of hovering around the like Pat Freiermuth range of outcomes recently. Like if he didn't score, he's the second tight end in points per game this year at 14 points per game. That's a stark difference from 17 points per game. So he's back to kind of his 2020 numbers, not his 2021 numbers, but he has a 27.9% target share right now. I expect his target share to jump up to well over 30. I'm expecting a 35% target share with Tyler Huntley. And if you've been able to get Mark Andrews kind of on the cheap-ish, which I've been able to accomplish, and if you have no trade deadline, I would be targeting Mark Andrews if somehow he's on a bad team, and I would be paying up. Their schedule moving forward is nice. Except they do play Pittsburgh this week. I don't like that. But outside of that,
fine. Pittsburgh has been a bad defense.
Yeah, backup quarterback, though, you don't really know. But anyway, I'm declaring that my fantasy football championship league winner is going to be Mark Andrews. I think he's back because he hasn't really had the blow-up games, though. I know it sounds funny to say.
No, it's just funny to declare a league winner, like a championship winner, on a guy that's currently the number 2 at his position.
Sure, but like let's look. Tight end 50, 24, 12.
No, I agree. I agree with all that. Just the concept of that is very funny.
Like he's either been number 1, which is early in the season, right? Those are those big blowout games for Lamar Jackson. 25 points, 28 points, and he had a 22 and a 23. Those are great. Has not done it since week 6. You know, he got hurt, so he had 0.4 points. 6.3, 12.3, 11, 9.4. You're getting Pat Freiermuth out of Mark Andrews. So now you're going from that situation with how it was with Lamar Jackson, and now you're getting an increased target share. I understand that Tyler Huntley is not Lamar Jackson. He's not as good. I'm not going to sit here and be like, the Ravens shouldn't sign Lamar Jackson because they have Tyler Huntley. That's not what I'm saying. But in the games last year, Tyler Huntley played, Mark Andrews' production skyrocketed. The reason Mark Andrews finished as the tight end 1 last year was because of Tyler Huntley, not Lamar Jackson. So you're going from a guy who's getting you could play Gerald Everett in the same spot for the same outcome to I think he's at Travis Kelce territory for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mark Andrews. If he's not the best tight end in the league, he's the second best tight end in the league. Like I am obviously not going to have a problem with this take here. Mark Andrews is very good at football. You should be starting him if you have him. Like I got nothing else to add on this. This feels like a very, very easy to swallow take.
But I just wanted to explain it because it's very easy to be like, Christian McCaffrey's going to win you a week. That's not what I'm talking about. There's actually a reason when you really dig into it. Points per game is a great tool, but it doesn't tell the entire story. You got to look a little deeper. And since week 6, it has been tough to roster Mark Andrews. So I'm ready to play Tyler Huntley and Mark Andrews in my playoff spots. I'm going to be doing that in your league, Billy, but I want to know who your potential league winner is going to be this year.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. If we want to talk like actually kind of deep down the line, I mean, like some of these guys just have a very, very, very strong schedule. One of my favorite ones, at least the first 2 weeks of playoffs, is Isaiah Pacheco. He's got Denver this week, which sucks.
Yes.
Then he plays Houston, which, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco can have 2 runs for 120 yards against Houston.
Easy.
Then he plays Seattle. Easy. That one's going to be completely fine. Then Denver again in his championship, which kind of sucks. But I mean, Pacheco could get you to your fantasy championship.
Oh, and I think you're right. I mean, if it were Kenneth Walker playing Houston this week, I think you would be stoked. And I'm not saying that Pacheco is as good as K-Walk, but he's at least 80% of Kenneth Walker. If you look at Kenneth Walker's success rate to Isaiah Pacheco's success rate running the football. So I think you're right. Pacheco could have 200+ yard games back to back in Kansas City. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Other really good takes. Ramondre Stevenson has just the Patriots in general have a phenomenal schedule going down the stretch. I mean, Arizona, Vegas, Cincinnati, Miami. Like, given what Ramondre Stevenson has turned into for that offense, he's going to get so much love there. If they can turn it around a little bit, which I don't know what they do, maybe this is a Greg Dulcich take more than anything else. The Broncos have a very good schedule. I mean, Kansas City, Arizona, the Rams, and then Kansas City again.
Right.
Like that's a strong schedule. There's going to be shootouts. I'm a lot more focused on like teams, and like a lot of these teams right now are making a strong playoff push. I think one of the teams that's going to make the strongest playoff push might be, this feels crazy to say, the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yes.
And they have such a nice schedule. Minnesota next week, which I don't know how many people realize this. They opened as 1.5 favorites over the Vikings, which is insane. Yep. Then they have the Jets, and Carolina, and Chicago. Like the Lions have been deceptively good this year. And I tweet about this. Like they've taken so many of the best teams in the league and only lost by like 3 to 5 points to them. Like they've been so good. So guys like Amon-Ra, maybe Jameson Williams to an extent, if he can kind of get a larger snap share. I mean, he came off an ACL last week, so I'm not going to jump on that too much. But guys like DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, even DJ Chark, who's could still be on dynasty waivers in some of your leagues.
Oh, he had a good week.
All of those guys, I would be so excited to pick up because, I mean, Jared Goff is playing for a contract right now.
Sure. My only problem is the Jets are very good against quarterbacks. Very good against quarterbacks. They are a nightmare matchup. They are top 2, top 3 in points allowed, schedule adjusted points allowed at quarterback, and it's in New York. So your week 15, your week 16, probably not going to be too great because Jared Goff is basically the quarterback version of Amari Cooper for home and away. But the Panthers, hopefully it's good enough weather, and they are a rough enough defense that he could still have a great game. I love the championship matchup. Championship matchup, Lions versus Bears, phenomenal.
Yeah, the thing with the Lions is I kind of take away the tough matchup measurement for them. I mean, Jared Goff, that's what Jared Goff is. Like, Jared Goff isn't a QB1. He's at best the QB 16, like that. Okay. But what benefits them is these really tough matchups because the Lions don't quit. I mean, they hung. I don't have the stats on me right now. Let me pull up the Detroit Lions schedule. But they took the best teams in the league and dropped, 30, 40 points on them. I mean, we can run down the list. 45 against the Seahawks, 35 against the Eagles, the goose to the Patriots, 6 to the Giants, then 27 on the Dolphins. I mean, like they play well in tough matchups. And I think they have a situation where Minnesota and the Jets are so good that the Lions don't have a choice. They have to score and throw the ball. And to an extent, maybe they are going to have some serious success doing that. Then you have the absolute flip side where the Panthers and Bears are so bad on defense, which is crazy to say for both of them, less so about the Panthers, but the Bears are atrocious right now, where they're just going to benefit from that. Like I'm completely fine playing Lions players down the stretch.
Sure, but let me ask you this though, because I think Jared Goff, the home and away, really does matter more. At home with Philly, he had 19 points. Home with Washington, 34 points. At Minnesota, only 16. Home to Seattle, 42. At New England, 6. At Dallas, 3.5. Home to Miami, 20. Home to Green Bay, 16. At Chicago, only 15. At the Giants, 6. The games at home to Buffalo, home to Jacksonville, 21 and 25. So you're right. He did have some stinkers, but those were all on the road.
Oh, sure.
So let me ask you this then. Away, Jared Goff in New York, because this is your playoff push, or do you want Tyler Huntley?
I mean, I don't know who's
against Cleveland. Huntley against Cleveland and Atlanta, or Jared Goff with the Jets and Carolina in those two spots?
Oh, I don't want to play
because these are legitimate questions. A lot of people have Tyler Huntley on their bench, so some people are really going to be asking this question. Myself,
like, I think, given what the QB position is, Jared Goff and where the Lions are in their season, Jared Goff is consistently going to have a floor of 15 points, like in this playoff push, because they're going to need, like, a lot of those games. The problem is they just didn't throw the ball. I mean, go back and look at those away games. Jared Goff, I mean, 26 against the Giants, 26 against the Bears, 26 against Dallas, which is just a funny trend. And I mean, like 35 against New England. But even then, like I think confidently I would play Jared Goff over Tyler Huntley rest of the season.
Okay, interesting. We disagree there, but I think I'm looking at this point. We're late in the season, and I think this is where the disparity is really coming from for the two of us. At this point in the season, we have enough data, and again, we're playing a game. We have two questions in the chat. We're gonna answer right away. So sit tight, Sad Elijah Moore, Truther. I love that name, and David. We'll answer these right away. But I think for us, I'm gonna look at the data. I'm gonna look at the matchup, because we have enough of that to take away some of the variance. You're playing them because we know what they are. I get it. I think that's where we're having the disparity.
The thing is, like, I think Jared Goff is going to. I mean, I completely acknowledge that there is that floor there. I think it is a lot more likely Tyler Huntley is going to go out there and stink it up versus a team like Atlanta than I would having Jared Goff on the road against Carolina. Like, I really think that's just where my level of confidence is. I would trust the floor of Jared Goff over the floor of Tyler Huntley. And talking about that randomness I was talking about like a couple minutes ago, I would rather buy into the lack of randomness with Jared Goff and win my league in other roster spots than trying to, I don't want to say outsmart myself, but outsmart myself by putting in a guy like Tyler Huntley, trying to maybe gain another 6 points.
Okay, fair. You know what? I appreciate I understand that. I disagree, but I completely understand your point. David, let's answer your question first. Would Tua be a good pickup for a forced trade league? I would have to give up Fournette, Zeke, or Aaron Jones. Yes. Is this a super flex? If you already have two quarterbacks, then I would say no, try to go somewhere else. If this is a super flex, yeah, absolutely pick up Tua. 100% pick up Tua. Tua was my favorite. Not my favorite. My favorite buy of the offseason was Tyreek. I made that quite clear on the walkabout. Number 2, Tua. I started taking him in the 4th and 5th rounds. I got laughed at, and he's balling. He's worked his way up to like a high 2nd round startup pick, even going in the 1st round sometimes. So that value accrued.
The thing with Tua is, like, that team is set with their offense for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
The place where they're going to fall off is their defense.
Yeah,
Like
I
their
agree.
defense is
And we want
older
that.
and they have a lot of money tied off.
And we
So
want that.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. In the near future, their defense is only going to get worse. And in that case, Tua's going to have to win a lot more shootouts. And with the offensive weapons he has, he can. So I also, if you want to play a fun game, go on Pro Football Reference right now and look at passing stat leaders and just extend all of them and laugh at how many things Tua leads the league in.
Oh, he's been great. He's been phenomenal. And one of the thing is, shout out to the fantasy footballers. This is where I got this. People who say Tyreek is going to fall off, Deshaun Jackson is the second fastest recorded time in the NFL. He's 36. I don't think Tyreek Hill's skill set, barring a gross injury, is going to go away. That's going to be great for Tua.
The thing is, I don't think Tyreek Hill needs his current skill set to win the way that they're winning in Miami.
Sure.
They are using Tyreek Hill in a way very similar to what San Francisco is using with Debo. They're throwing it short. How many completions this year have you seen trend on Twitter where Tua throws a 15, 20-yard pass to Tyreek Hill down the middle and just no one touches him? His ability is so much more his shiftiness than it is just his straight line speed. I'm all for. I think Tyreek is going to be great for the next probably 3-4 years at least.
Yep. So to answer this question, would Tua be a good pickup? Yes, if it is a super flex. If it is not a super flex, you already have another version of Tua and Joe Burrow.
And especially if it's a dynasty league. Yeah. I would give all those running backs for Tua in the fastest heartbeat.
A second, yeah. What type of piece do you think I'd have to add on to Tua Schultz to get Dak Andrews? I think the other guy sees a decent gap between Tua and Dak, but it start two tight end. He likes Dak more, or he likes Tua more? Because I would take Tua over Dak personally. It's a 2 QB dynasty, but Tua is my QB 3. Other tight end is Njoku. Who the hell are you? Other quarterbacks? God,
yeah, he's
damn.
You're doing good.
I would give up whatever you had to. That may sound like a kind of a flimsy answer, but the upgrade from Schultz to Andrews in a dynasty league is I think Ferguson is a starting tight end at Dallas next year. Ferguson has been just as good as Schultz with the ball in his hand, and they don't need to pay Schultz the money. So I think Ferguson will be there. I think Schultz walks because he's already been tagged. So
yeah,
I'm trading 2 1s if I have to. Trade whatever you have to go and get to Andrews.
I don't know if I do that.
It is a start 2 tight end league, you said? I think I saw that. Start 2 tight end league. Yeah, absolutely I would.
I wouldn't
is an early 2 pick. I would definitely do that.
I wouldn't add 2 first onto I think the gap between Tua and Dak is good enough. I don't think you need to add that. Wash. Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's a wash. I think I'd take Tua well over Dak in my eyes.
They went damn near back to back in the last startup I did.
Yeah, but I mean, he said, if he sees a good gap between Tua and Dak,
he said the other guy. He says the other guy sees.
Yes,
that's. So if he doesn't, then it doesn't matter. You need to pay up to get that gap between Andrews and Schultz. That the quarterback swap shouldn't matter.
Sure, I like Tua a lot more. I would be cautious. Dak is very good. The problem is I think he's just limited in where a lot of the money is in Dallas. I mean, they invested quite a bit right now. They have a lot of money tied up, and there is a chance, I'm not saying it's a big chance, but there is a chance that a lot of their key pieces are not there in 3-4 years, especially guys like CeeDee Lamb, who potentially could be asking for a good paycheck when, quite frankly, as much as we love CeeDee Lamb on this show, when you compare him against some of the other guys in that draft class and that have come out since him, he just hasn't performed at that level. So I don't see a guy like CeeDee Lamb getting a bag at the level that what Justin Jefferson is probably about to get.
Sure, but I think the biggest part for me is if he says that Tua is his 3rd quarterback, then dropping down and being willing to pay up for the gap between Schultz and Andrews when you not valuing Tua as much as you might need to, you're sacrificing his value to pick up Dak as your third QB to gain a top 10 dynasty asset, which I believe Mark Andrews to be. Like, I have Mark Andrews over Kyle Pitts as my dynasty tight end 1. I did last year, and I'll have it again this year. Like, if you can get that game busting player for a quarterback, you're not even playing. He's your third option, in your opinion, then yeah, you should absolutely add literally whatever that guy wants.
Yeah, I think 2 first is quite a bit. I mean, I think 2 first is probably Andrew's value straightforward. Like, I am pretty confident you could add like one of the kind of consistent wide receiver 2s that are staying in the draft right now and be happy with that. Like, I think that guy would be completely fine taking that.
Okay.
If he isn't, it's a different statement. But I mean,
right.
Like, even if you want to say Tua and Dak is a wash, fine. I don't think it is, but if that's what they're saying it is, fine. I think Schultz, as much as we want to talk about him not going to Dallas, he is going to go get paid somewhere. He's going to be a tight end in the future. Njoku is locked up in Cleveland. Like, I wouldn't shoot myself in the foot moving so much draft capital on top of a usable tight end for Andrews. Like, I'd be so much more apt to take those 2 first and go upgrade somewhere else than the tight end position, especially when you have 2 usable tight ends there.
Interesting. For me, the in the 2 tight end, I want to pay up for that Mark Andrews. But again, everyone's micro market is different.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if you have to move those 2 ones to get them, I'd still do it. But as Billy said, maybe you don't have to. Start slow and work your way up. Let us know.
I really don't think you need to. I'll tell you what, I would be so happy to add Elijah Moore onto that trade and get done.
Oh, well, of course you would. Dalton Schultz, currently the keep trade cut tight end 8. That's not bad actually. That's not bad. Look,
but I mean that's the tight end position too. David Njoku missed 4 games and he's the tight end 1. Like, yes. That's just the position.
It's really bad news, Bears. Look, we have covered who we think our league winners are going to be. We've covered how important the bye week is going to be. We've covered the Jackson and Huntley injury. Obviously, you want to keep note of all injuries. It all is crucially important, but the Seattle backfield, you can kiss that goodbye. I don't think Kenneth Walker is really going to come back and really help you too much, maybe in the championship, but that's a hell of a gamble. But lots of injuries. You're not here listening to our show for injury news. I just really wanted to hit that Lamar Jackson injury because obviously a lot of teams are affected. A lot of people are out of the playoffs now because of that game and just how to move forward.
Cole Kmet is the tight end 5.
Yeah, he had a couple just massive games.
Oh, that was standard, not PPR. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
There you go. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. Okay, look, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tennessee firing their GM, and we're going to close it out with a fun game about Baker Mayfield, and then we'll give you our underdog picks that I forgot to do at the top of the show because this stupid fucking beeping has been going on. It's been driving me nuts. Trying to get through it. We're going to get through it. Thanks for sitting tight. Remember, hit that subscribe button. When we come back, we're going to talk the Tennessee Titans GM firing. Super random. Enjoy. I'm taking Chris Olave at 102. He's an alpha receiver. I think that he's shown that. I think he's done everything he could possibly do. He's doing it with less than amazing quarterback play, to be honest with you. I thought maybe he would be the outside guy. I thought maybe he would be just a deep guy. Nah, he's a do-everything guy. He's red zone. He is what he is, which is elite. He's run 336 routes. He has the best PFF receiving grade. He's averaging 14.2 points per game, highest in this rookie class. Just down across the board, elite player, and not just for a rookie, as just a general wide receiver. Ooh, he's good, that guy. That Chris Olave. Whew, he's pretty good. Pretty damn good. All right, look, the Tennessee Titans have fired John Robinson after getting absolutely dog-walked by the player that he traded.
Yeah.
Got absolutely dog walked by him, and this might come as a surprise, but I feel like since 2016, his drafts have been very hit or miss, and more miss than hit. So check this out. In 2016, his first pick was Jack Conklin, then Kevin Dodd, Austin Johnson. Kevin Dodd, Austin Johnson, nobodies. Then he grabbed Derrick Henry in the second. Phenomenal pick. Kevin Byard, phenomenal pick. Your boy, Tajay Sharp, all right, didn't do much. Outside of that, not a whole lot to be desired. 2016, they really started to establish at that point, although the DeMarco Murray handling situation, not great. So there was that there with them. Then at the fifth pick, they picked Corey Davis. Then they picked Adoree Jackson, 2 busts. Tywan Taylor, not great. Jaylen Brown played very well for them for a while. Corey Levin, just not a lot here either. 2018, Rashaan Evans, very good player. Harold Landry, also very good player. Not bad. Both kind of hurt, inconsistent, not game breakers. Let's talk about the year after that, 2019, Jeffrey Simmons. Okay player, bit of a pain in the ass to other teams. All right, not bad, not a game breaker. Also, that's a high pick for a nose tackle that doesn't provide much more than run stuffing. A.J. Brown in the second round. This was a home run pick. Nate Davis, Amani Hooker. Again, outside of A.J. Brown, not great. Okay, now we're moving on to 2020. Isaiah Wilson, cut. He's not even there anymore. Not great.
He's not in the league.
Even worse. Fulton, Evans. Like, we're not getting, and look, I know some of the 6th and 7th round guys might hit for a little bit, but that's not what gets you noticed as much as missing these early elite picks. Like, these are absolutely terrible, and they're still winning, which I think is more on Vrabel than anything else. Then 2021, Caleb Farley, Raduns at tackle, Monty Rice, Elijah Molden, Des Fitzpatrick. And then it's just, he's a bad drafter, and it is sinking this team more and more. They can only ride Derrick Henry to so many wins. I find it hard to think that this should come as an absolute surprise. And it's not a surprise when they got absolutely fucking dog walked by the player they let go. Treylon Burks has been great. Treylon Burks has been very good as a rookie. Before I hand it over to you, Billy, also shout out Lissa, much love to you. Thanks for popping in. That's over there on Twitch, where you can go at ThomasTippleFF. I would never tell you to shut up. I think paying Derrick Henry ultimately sealed his fate, because that's why they had to let A.J. Brown walk. Say what you want, but I don't think a running back should be your highest paid player on your team, ever. And I think it's hurting them. And I think it hurt him so bad he lost his job. So I want to get Billy, your thoughts here. We covered his draft. What else stands out to you from John Robinson's time in Tennessee? And how does this affect fantasy moving forward?
I am so upset. I've been trash talking the Titans drafting for years. We finally get a chance to talk about it on the show, and you jump in and run down everything I've been saying these last couple
I had to
of
let
years.
the people know.
Look, it's really easy to like go through these previous drafts of other teams and pick and choose like a lot of these picks that have been bad. That's really straightforward to do, but it's really hard to say, because inherently the general management has made fundamentally bad choices. Like, it's we can say all we want about, this prospect should have been good, didn't hit, whatever. Caleb Farley was coming off a very severe injury coming out of Virginia Tech. Since then, this season, he has only played 72% or 70% defensive snaps once. He has not, besides that one game, which was week 2 against Buffalo, he has not surpassed more than 45% defensive snaps again. Like that guy was your round 1 pick, 2022. He took a defensive tackle in Dylan Radins coming out of the draft the next year. Dylan Radins, you know what? Fine pick. You have a tackle who is actually like playing. Four games this year, where he played all of his snaps. He's a little bit beat up, fine. Like, a lot of this comes from, I mean, we can play this game all we want. Look at the Titans right now. Outside of Derrick Henry, how many players on the Titans can you clarify as part of the reason why they made the playoffs last year?
Yeah.
That came from the Titans. That is homegrown talent from the Titans.
Yeah.
Like, we're the number 1 seed last year. And outside of Elijah Molden, I don't think any one of their 2021 draft picks continued or contributed even slightly. I'm pretty sure Des Fitzpatrick was cut before the season. Like, that's a 4th round pick. A 4th round pick, keep in mind, this year probably would have bought you Amari Cooper. Like, and I mean, we could keep pushing down. Outside of that 2019 draft class where they got Simmons, AJ Brown, Nate Davis, like since then, they have not had a single draft pick that like is consistently a contributor on the team outside of maybe Chris
Evans, right? Rashad Evans, they did re-sign. I think it was Evans, one of their outside linebackers.
Rashad Evans was in 2018.
Yeah.
So like he was before that. But I mean, the Titans, they do not get their contributors from the draft. It makes sense that he was fired. I think the timing is weird, and I think that might cause some hiccups in fantasy. But I mean, the recipe for the Titans is what it's been. They are going to run the ball with Derrick Henry. They can do that with or without their general manager. And if they make Ryan Tannehill throw the ball, which they can, I mean, it's going to fall back on Derrick Henry. They didn't this last week because that's not the Titans formula when they get down. They can't play from behind. And I mean, that's who the Titans are. Like, I don't see this having a huge effect in fantasy overall. I think in the long run it might, but for the rest of the season, your playoff run, I wouldn't stress too much about this.
I'll tell you why I think it matters for fantasy next year. I saw a mock draft with Bijan going in the 1st round to Tennessee, and I didn't hate that at all because they can just replicate their Derrick. Not saying Bijan's going to be Derrick Henry, but you're going to take the best running back in the draft and slowly phase out your aging running back and limit his touches, kind of the DeMarco Murray situation and what happened with Chris Johnson as well. I think that would have been fine. I don't think that pick gets made. I think one of the other big problems John Robinson had with this team and why I'm concerned for Tennessee moving forward for being a good team. We want a good team. That's what makes a good team good for fantasy. Let's look at some of the free agents he thought would be good to bring in. Like, these are bad decisions. Bryce McCain, he brought in. It's a lot of patchwork, right? Richard Matthews. Oh my goodness. Jonathan Cyprin, not great. Eric Decker, they paid him decent money. Logan Ryan made big money with this team. That did not work out, obviously. That was very piss poor. Malcolm Butler also paid a heavy chunk of change. Did not work out for the team, set them back. They signed a big contract to Dion Lewis. That obviously didn't work out. Kendrick Lewis did not work out. These are just Kenny Vaccaro. They just try to patchwork things on this team, and it's absolutely failed them. I think Tennessee is heading for a blow-up rebuild as soon as Derrick Henry shows that he's not the game breaker, and we've shown that he hasn't been exactly able to carry them on his own to wins even this year. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm concerned for a blow-up.
I am a lot more worried about not necessarily the future prospects, but just the future in Tennessee for Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I would put money on him not being on the roster next year and Derrick Henry still being on it, and even 2 years in the future. Like, Ryan Tannehill is getting paid a pretty hefty chunk of change. I'm pretty sure he's in like the top, I want to say the top like 6 salaries in the league at the quarterback position. He's number 1 in terms of cap hit this year. He's getting paid a ton. He has the highest base salary in the league this year. Like, I could see them very possibly moving on from Ryan Tannehill next year. They have a potential out this year, which would put $18 million in dead cap. Beyond that, like
But that's also go ahead. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
I'm just going to say, I think with the amount of talent in the draft this year, I could see the Titans flat out going in and looking at some of these bad teams that don't need a draft pick, or even some of these teams that got lucky with their draft picks. They obtained a first and the team went horrible, and saying, you know what? Do you want Ryan Tannehill? Like,
sure.
Ryan Tannehill is not. I think Ryan Tannehill is a fine quarterback. I think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's winning anyone a Super Bowl on his back. He's not Mahomes. We know he isn't Mahomes. I think Ryan Tannehill is just as fine a quarterback as someone like Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
But, I mean, what's he going to do with Nick Westbrook-Akine? What's he going to do with any other one of the guys on that roster? Like, I think the Titans would be very smart to get out of that contract, move him to a team like, I mean, I don't want to say Seattle, but they're the first one that come to my mind. Detroit is another one.
Seattle's got the MVP on their team right now.
He should be considered for it, but he's not. But like Detroit is another one where they lucked into potentially having the 102 this year.
Sure.
Like, I'd be so much more comfortable moving him to there and trying to get an early draft pick. And, you know, Ryan Tannehill and a second probably gets you a pretty good draft pick in this class.
Sure.
And then make it, which keep in mind is like the exact opposite of what they did with Jared Goff.
But that's why I'm worried about them for fantasy. So Ryan Tannehill gets yeeted to another team. He's off the team. Yay! He's gone. Okay. And now you're sitting with, I don't know, a late one draft pick in the draft, which whoever that's going to be. The NIL deals are already keeping guys in college. It's thinning out the 23 draft class. Sure. Okay. Well, you drafted Malik Willis in the third round. We've seen Malik Willis. Malik Willis is not going to be good for fantasy for Treylon Burks unless there's a massive year 2 leap. So that's bad for fantasy.
Which
worse
is possible.
Worse quarterback play means worse offense, which means bad for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is great. 29, 30-year-old Derrick Henry with a stacked box every single play. He might break a couple, but he's going to end up being schedule dependent more than he's been even this year. So then I am petrified for fantasy if they let Tannehill walk and they do get out of that contract and they do kind of blow it up and they roll with what they have right now. I am terrified at that point. So I think this could have major fantasy implications if it goes that way. I don't think it will go that way because I don't think Vrabel's going to want to sit there and lose after dominating that division for like 3 straight years.
Vrabel deserves the Coach of the Year award. 100%. He's deserved it the last like 3 years. I mean, Daboll's going to win it, and Daboll probably should win it, but Mike Vrabel has deserved to win this for the last couple of years.
I could not agree more. Look, we're going to take a quick second. When we come back, actually, I really enjoyed that insight on the Tennessee Titans' future. Could be a lot there going into the offseason. The only other point that we did not make that I wanted to make, they fired him early, which could be good for their draft process. So GMs that get fired late, it kind of messes up the draft process. There's a lot that goes into it. Now they can start their search, get their targets, and start working. So I actually do very much like that for them. We're going to take a quick second. When we come back, we're going to close this out with our underdog picks and our little bonus Baker Mayfield quarterback carousel game. Not going to want to miss that. Going to be a great time. Sit tight. Enjoy the clip.
The guy's just been legitimately good. It's like a small sample size in terms of what, when I was referencing all of those fancy abbreviations in terms of, things that I'm trying to beat people over the head with that they may or may not care about. But what we've seen out of Christian Watson, 144 routes total. So keep that in mind. When we're talking about these other guys, George Pickens up over 400 routes. Olave and Wilson have run over 300. Derek London, 287. So there's a lot of volatility what we've seen in Christian Watson. But what we have seen is awesome. 2.45 yards per route run. Rookies historically over 2 yards per route run is a really, really strong signal. He's over that along with Olave and Treylon Burks. 0.236 targets per route run. That's second highest in the class. And 11.3 points per game. So he's been scoring the third most points per game among rookie wide receivers, despite barely playing in his first stretch of games. Yeah. Christian Watson, 2 more touchdowns. Absolutely unbelievable.
Like the men's touchdown variance is carrying so many people, and I know a lot of people are going to be big sad that they can't rely on him this week. Look, as I mentioned before, we are powered and presented by not only Fantasy Points, but Underdog Fantasy as well. And I understand there are good weeks and there are bad weeks for parlays. Nothing is perfect, but remember, when you play with us and our picks, we win with you and we lose with you. So remember that when you're coming at our DMs. We've lost too, all right? It happens, okay? Not too often, all right? We like to keep our losing to a minimum and our winning a little higher, but sometimes there's nothing we can fucking do about it because variance. But this week, I think we have come up with a couple of absolute smash plays, Billy, and because Jacob is not here, I took the liberty to pick for him.
All right,
so
you do yours first because I'm pulling some stats for mine.
Sure. If this one doesn't hit, remember, blame Jacob. This is Jacob's pick. That's at Jacob Sanderson on Twitter. I don't care if I made it up, but blame him for this. This one's coming out of him. Also, last week, we had an over on Vanilla Vic. That was before. Never mind. We didn't do Vanilla Vic last week. Okay, so my first Jacobs this week talking about the Tennessee Titans. We're going to carry that over. This beep is super distracting. I don't know how Cozy Mod does it. Shout out Cozy. But at Jacob Sanderson on Twitter says Derrick Henry is absolutely going to crush his 91.5 yard rushing total on Underdog. Look, there's just some certainties in life that you know are going to hit. Jared Goff is going to play well at home. We talked about that earlier. You always play T.Y. Hilton against Houston. That's always going to smash.
That was the one. I was trying to think of that
and
earlier.
You always play Derrick Henry against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is milk and cookies. It is just, you absolutely do it every single time. It's grilled cheese and tomato soup. It's just combinations that absolutely hit every single time. So we love Derrick Henry at 91.5 rushing yards. We're taking the over. And for my pick, because remember that was Jacob Sanderson's pick, not mine. My pick this week is I am taking the Josh Jacobs over 20.5 receiving yards. Oh, he's hurt. Well, the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty fucking good for fantasy, scoring over 70 points in PPR leagues. I think that he once again does well in the receiving game. 20.5 yards seems pretty easy for me in this matchup with the Raiders. They need to throw the ball. And Derek Carr's actually been not too terrible. So Josh Jacobs over 20.5 receiving yards. We're taking that. Billy?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Isaiah Pacheco's under on his rushing yards. Look, he's going up against Denver. Denver is a phenomenal defense. They're one of the best defenses we have seen since maybe like the 2018 Bears, the 2020 Patriots. Like, they are so strong. And I think we need to start appreciate. Come on, Tom, talk about the Ravens.
The 2000 Baltimore Ravens are the best defense of all time.
I was talking about 2018. Just because I say defense doesn't mean you need to talk about the Ravens.
Yes, we do. We've been doing this show for 3 years.
So Pacheco his last 2 weeks has only put up just barely over what his current line is in 63.5 yards. The Chiefs are going to have to throw to, even score against the Denver Broncos offense. Like, that's what they're going to have to rely on. I think there's the potential that they get a lead and they know Denver can't score and they just run Pacheco for the rest of the game. But his efficiency has gone down significantly from where it was when he first took over for CEH. There's the potential of Melvin Gordon starting to work his way in a little bit more. And I just, everything is kind of working against Pacheco here, and it feels like 63.5 yards is closer to where his ceiling is, and I don't want to bet on that.
No, that's fair. I think the time for Isaiah Pacheco is going to be after this week. I think after this week, you just smash Isaiah Pacheco all the way through the playoffs till the championship game. I absolutely love those. So those are our picks. We're taking the over on Derrick Henry, 91.5. We're taking over Josh Jacobs on 20.5 receiving yards. We're taking the under on Isaiah Pacheco, 63.5. If these don't hit, blame Jacob because he's the one that's not here. He wasn't here to stop us.
Solid picks.
Who chooses education over fantasy football? I don't know. That seems like a whack-ass choice to me. Yeah, well, you're also a super smart person. God damn it! I need to get my.
My
I need to
degree.
go back. I need to go back to school to get my GPA up to actually be able to talk to you guys. Like this is ridiculous.
I just want my degree.
Yeah. All right. Look, you came up with a very interesting question about Baker Mayfield, and I thought there would be no better way to close out this show than for me to be able to gloat that Sam Darnold took Baker Mayfield's job in one game. Oh my God. Oh, phenomenal. The downfall of Baker Mayfield. Look, I don't want to see anyone fail specifically, but the people that ignorantly backed Baker Mayfield deserve every single second of this. Phenomenal. He joins the Rams, and you asked in the FNL Legal Record chat how many quarterbacks you would prefer over Baker Mayfield right now.
Yeah.
Fantasy or not, just straight up quarterbacks across the league. I want you to run through the list, and I will say yes or no.
Yeah, I got in a heavy debate with one of my coworkers about this, who said Baker Mayfield is still a top, I think he said 25 QB in the league. And just playing the game, I pulled up my phone, pulled up the divisions, and just started running through the quarterbacks on each division. So to play this game with Tom, I'm just going to read off players, and Tom's is just going to tell me if he wants Baker Mayfield over those players.
Right.
So
not a lot of analysis going in. It's just yes or no. Would I prefer it one way or the other, fantasy or not? Because the answer for fantasy is I always want anyone rushing and pretty much anyone that can throw the ball right now. So we're going overall in a vacuum.
Yep. So, and also keep in mind, this is from my original message where I just ran through the divisions on Google. So there's no rhyme or reason to the order of this. I'm just going to read them off. I'll just read. You say Josh Allen.
Obviously.
Tua.
Yes.
Zach Wilson.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Mike White.
Yes.
Mac Jones.
Yes.
Bailey Zappi.
No.
Really? Okay. Mahomes and Herbert. I don't need to talk about that.
Easy.
Carr.
Yes.
Russell Wilson.
Yes.
I don't need to say Lamar. Tyler Huntley.
Yes.
Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Brissett.
Yes.
Love it. Pickett.
Yes.
Tannehill.
Yes.
Matt Ryan.
No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think Matt Ryan's toast. He's done dust.
Lawrence, obviously.
Yes.
Hurts, obviously. Prescott, obviously. Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Taylor Heineke.
Absolutely. I think Taylor Heineke gets a starting job before Baker Mayfield does.
I said on the review this week, I think Taylor Heineke is the starter in Washington next year. Trey Lance.
Yes.
Jimmy G.
Yes.
Mr. Gino.
Yes.
Kyler.
Yes.
Stafford.
Yes.
Cousins.
Yes.
Jared Goff.
Yes. And I would take Brock Purdy right now. Yes, David.
Oh my God.
We'll get to this. Well, I want to get to this Twitch question. Jared's much happy to have you here, man. Hit that follow button. Yo, should I go Carr on Thursday or wait it out for Tua? I'd wait for Tua. Play Tua.
Is Tua questionable?
He has an ankle, but he's expected to play.
Yeah, I just bank on Tua because when is the Dolphins game this week? I'm sure there's another quarterback you can probably you can add Skylar Thompson, and I would play Skylar Thompson.
Yeah,
against Carr just because of the value you may get if Tua plays.
Right, and Donald might be back this week, which could hinder the Raiders. And it's the Chargers for Tua. Yeah, that's the flex game at 7:20. I would wait out on Carr, play Tua for sure.
Or Skylar Thompson. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finishing up, Rodgers.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Brady.
Absolutely.
Desmond Ritter.
This is tough, but I would still take Ritter.
I didn't have him on here, but he probably should be on here. Marcus Mariota.
No.
All right. Dalton.
I think we've seen they both suck, and I think Mariota's absolutely fumbled this audition.
Dalton.
No.
Winston.
Yes.
And Darnold, which we know is a yes.
Fuck yes, I'd take Sam Darnold.
So
absolutely.
That was going off of my list. Notable players that I removed are players like Malik Willis. Mariota didn't make the original draft of the list. He probably makes it now. Other guys that I wasn't brave enough to put on there was Colt McCoy. I think he's just a strong enough backup in the league.
Baker Mayfield's on his Colt McCoy villain arc right now, and I love it. And I would definitely take Malik Willis.
Also, Davis Mills didn't make the list.
Yeah, can we just talk about for a brief second? Like, I loved this list. I'm going to go back and listen to this. I'm going to write down who I said yes and who I said no to, because I didn't think to do that because I'm just not that smart today. But what the heck are the Texans doing playing Allen? We know what he is. Like, why wouldn't you let – oh, my gosh, my cat. Why wouldn't you let Mills at least finish this out for you? I don't understand what they're doing. Makes no sense to me. Texans being the Texans, but –
I'm sure it was originally to try and put seats and chairs and maybe get someone watching. Like,
maybe not have Brandon Cooks quit halfway through the year.
As someone who is very close with a lot of Texans fans, they are not happy. So I'm sure a QB change is just enough to try and get people like turning it on.
Well, their offseason is going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to do it for the program. Look. Hour and 21. If you caught the bonus at the beginning, we always do a little bit extra when we go live. It's not going to be available on the podcast. You're going to go to YouTube, hit subscribe for that. Billy, final thoughts before we get the hell out of here?
No, not really. Baker Mayfield legitimately, I think, still has a chance at being an NFL player, maybe an NFL starter. I think moving into the McVay system could help. I think there is still a world where in 2 years we're talking about Baker. We're like, wow, what a turnaround for him. But you know what? I did not say.
He should be. Gardner Minshew, I'd fucking prefer over Baker.
Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of this was me just going down the list, and I couldn't think of backups for certain things. So Gardner Minshew is probably on the list. Baker Mayfield, I think, gets a legitimate another chance. And who knows, with what it looks like for Stafford, it might be next year, which
it could be.
Who knows what's happening with Stafford?
Could be the right spot. Phenomenal. That's your final thoughts?
Yes, that was my final thoughts.
I thought we were just tagging on to the end there, but that's okay. Look, my final thoughts are generally the same, but right now this is what we play for, and I make that joke all the time. This is what we play for. And it is. This is exactly it. This is 1 week before most playoff starts, at least when the playoffs should be starting. And there are just absolutely phenomenal games to sit down and enjoy this week. Enjoy the KC Denver game. Enjoy the Tampa Bay San Francisco game for sure. Enjoy the Miami and Chargers game. There are so many great games. It kicks off on Thursday. Set those lineups. Get into the waivers. Don't give up. Never give up. Never surrender when it comes to the playoffs, especially for those buys. Get those buys any way that you have to. Guys, I've absolutely loved this show. I've loved this season. I can't wait to see what happens in the playoffs. Can't wait to talk about it with you all. Remember to check in on your loved ones. You never know when they need it. Remember that there are people on the other sides of those screens every time you're talking shit and getting into it. Remember there are still people on the other side, even if they're not remembering that and how they're talking to you. It is important. It's very important, especially now. Christmas can be a wonderful time, but it can also be a very sad and depressing time. Please check in. You always see the Packers in the background. Oh, Billy, I got to watch in Jersey before the season, and he's looking like the pickup of the year.
I gotta. It's the Watson deal has really devalued. Oh God, I can't get it out of my closet quick enough. Really hurt
Billy. Oh yeah, the signed Lazard.
Yeah.
Hey, but you can't be complaining. You're much happier now than you were when they made the initial pick. W. Thomas. Thanks, Alyssa. It's just important. It's important to check in on your loved ones on Christmas time, man. It's a lot of joy. And again, we just finished up the mental health and awareness month for men. And I always say that the stigma of men not being able to talk to each other also needs to get yeeted. It's important to talk to one another. It's important to check in on your loved ones. Remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose. And your best days will, God damn, they're always spent tilting. Good night, everybody. I really enjoyed this.